Well, a very good afternoon and welcome to the WEF Weekly here this week. We've got a lot to get through as we go into another 5-star week, and of course it is the Lugano Diamonds 5-star, but also reflecting a little on what happened last week, a very full week indeed with the MSU 25. We also had, of course, the Hunter Spectacular, and thrown in there too is the Cask 3-star Grand Prix, a good battle over on the field too. So that was all part of week 6, and I'd like to say my guests joining me to talk this week and beyond are with me here, and starting off it is of course World Championship gold medalist Adrian Sterling. Good afternoon.
Hi Stephen, good afternoon.
Looking forward to this week. Benny's Legacy, I'm guessing, is going to be the big one this week?
It's Benny's week.
Benny's week, yeah. It's going to be Benny's week. Mavis Spencer, hot foot from California over here. And you're here for a few weeks.
Yes, I'm here for this week and next week. I brought a couple horses out with me, so it's nice to be back in Wellington.
What's the plan?
Try and jump clear rounds is always a nice place to start, but I have my good chestnut horse Carissimo here, so he'll jump the Nations Cup next week with Adrian on the team, so just building into that. We're
going to talk about that a little bit later on. Richard Vogel of Germany, now resident here for a little while here. Richie, terrific run in the 5-star just a couple of weeks ago with United Touch. You've been back to Germany in between?
Yeah, I was back, trained a few other horses there, did a 3-star there also, and yeah, happy to be back in the sun now.
You're keeping busy.
Yeah,
keeping
exactly.
very busy from that point of view. We're going to get all their views on this week and what's coming up for them over the next few days here as part of this Lugano Diamonds 5-star week. We're also going to reflect on last week as well, and that Hunter Spectacular, which was won by John French here under the lights. It's the week where the Hunters take the centre stage in this arena. Let's hear from John of how he took home the title.
Well, the handy round tonight, going into it, I was in the lead by, 2 or 3 points. And I knew everybody was having really good rounds and they were making that inside turn to the second to last jump. Originally, I thought maybe I wouldn't do that, but I think I kind of had to with the rounds that I was seeing before me. So he made that turn to the second to last jump, and he just jumped so high that I think the judges rewarded him for how skillful he is. This horse is so special because he's only just turning 8 years old. His first year of showing, he went straight to the forefoot. He's won the last 400 derbies that he's been in, international derbies, and he just has the best brain and the best mind. And he can come here at night under the lights. Even last year when I did him, I made a mistake to the last jump and left him a little bit too long, but he came in here and marched right around. I can't be happier with this horse. I'm just going to keep showing him in special class like this or international derbies, and I'm kind of gearing up for the Derby finals in Kentucky this summer.
Well, it was John French with his success into that Hunter Spectacular last week as well. But also, of course, we were battling out on the field for the Cask Grand Prix. And I can say the man who won it again this year, he's won it 3 years in a row, was Bertram Allen, and he holds that new record there of 3 on the bounce. We can talk about this week as well because he's got a chance of doing that here again in the 5-star. But taking things home with Emmy Lou, let's hear what Bertram had to say after his success.
Yeah, the jump off went to plan. My horse is naturally very fast, so I just tried to keep it as smooth as I could. Obviously the jump off was still big, there was quite a few faults in it, so I just tried to get the right happy medium between going fast enough and leaving all the jumps up. Yeah, she's a lovely horse in the barn. She's very relaxed and easy going with everything, and then when you jump her, even exercising at home is fine, and the minute you start jumping then she lights up, and I think she likes her job.
Well, Bertram Allen with a chance again this week, and we'll reflect on that in a few minutes' time because he's won this Grand Prix for week 7 on the 2 previous occasions as well with Bacino and Miro. So that's going to be an exciting one to look forward to. Let's talk guests though, and let's start with Mavis. Mavis, to come to you, we hinted a little there of what's in store for you over the next couple of weeks. What is the thinking? And introduce us to your horse, Curly?
Yeah, Curly has over the past year really stepped up to sort of the international scene. I took him to Europe for a couple of weeks last year and jumped the Nations Cup in Spain and in Portugal, and he was double clear in the Villamora 3-star there, which was really exciting, to sort of build towards that and have the year end on that sort of note. Our plan was always to come to Wellington for a couple of weeks. And then, we'd kind of been chatting with Robert a little bit, obviously applied to be on that Nations Cup team now, and I believe they announced that on Friday, which is really exciting. I think he's a horse that, for as spectacular as he is, he doesn't really have a ton of miles. So we did, started the year in Thermal, did 2 weeks there. He was placed in both those 3 stars, so it's nice to be able to come here and even just get this experience for him. Hopefully we'll jump Saturday night, but obviously building toward the Nations Cup next weekend. So
you had a little jump out on the field last week as well, just to get yourselves in the groove as well from that point of view.
Yeah, he's only shown 2 weeks on the grass ever, actually, which were the 2 weeks we did out in Spain last year, and he was fantastic. We were third in the Grand Prix in Sunshine, which was a really nice way to finish out that show. But again, I think, for a young horse, he's 10 this year, but he really doesn't have so much mileage. So I think it's a matter of putting, those quarters in the piggy bank sort of thing for him.
And there's a reason, obviously, you're on to the Nations Cup. It's an exciting horse, you're an exciting rider. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I think anytime you get to put on the red coat, and I've done it twice now, so I think it's very exciting representing your country. I think it's great to be on a team, especially this past one. We're going to have a bunch of girls together. So I think having the chefs and having the vets and having everyone sort of be a part of it as a group is really exciting because it is such an individual sport at the end of the day.
Adrian, you're going to be on the team together. How are you feeling about it?
I'm really excited. It's a new horse for me, a horse that I purchased in the fall, and he's really surpassed my expectations of him, I think, as well as everyone else's. So I think he has incredible potential for what he can do. He's a bit of an older horse, but he hasn't really been such a star on the international scene, and so I'm excited to keep stepping him up and hopefully work him towards some bigger championships.
Which horse are we talking?
His name is Fakitol.
Give me a little bit of background.
He's about 18 hands, he's massive, it's the biggest horse I've ever had. He's so kind, he's a really exuberant jumper, and everything about him is big, but he's like a gentle giant, and I think everyone who knows him just adores him, and he's amazed me and everyone else, I think, with his quality, and his character is so good that he keeps on improving, and it's really rewarding to see that, especially in an older horse.
Oh, it's going to be exciting. Mavis, to you, it's been literally quite a journey to get here, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's not a short drive out here from California, which was why we took it a little easy last week. It took us about 50 hours to get here. Georgie and I drive the truck and trailer, which is always
and she's your owner.
She's my owner, yeah, so people find that sort of interesting and surprising. But we have a pretty good system. We make the trip across the country 3 or 4 times a year. Actually, going to Europe in the fall was a lot easier to fly the horses than to have to drive for indoors, which was nice. But the nice thing is we have these opportunities because we're willing to do that sort of thing, and I'm so grateful to her for being willing to pick up and get in the truck and trailer with me and drive out here so that we can show in places like Wellington. So it's a trek, but it's worth it.
And you've worked hard for this. I mean, you came through, you were groomed for some of the top riders, Ken Farrington there, Derek Kenny, you've worked with over the years, and now built up to this stage and produced these horses through.
Yeah, I still, my friends make fun of me because like when McLean says hi sort of thing, I get really shy and it's a little embarrassing, but I think now being at this level and competing with these riders is something I never really thought was going to happen, so it's sort of soaking in every minute and also trying to make the most of it. So
well, the good thing is you've got another superstar alongside you from Germany, winner in Stuttgart of the World Cup qualifier there. You finished really well into that 5-star Grand Prix a few weeks ago, Richie, from that point of view. United Touch S is a horse that's been on pretty well on everyone's lips watching the horse go around. What's been your take on this year so far, and following on from that win in Stuttgart?
I have to say the season here for him was a very, very good season. He got very consistent. I jumped him in 3 Grand Prix, 1 3, 1 4, 1 5-star. He was clear in every first round. In last 5-star Grand Prix, I messed up the jump off, as you can see there. He would have been double clear. But he got very, very consistent, and I think for him it's very good to have him over here because I can spend a lot of time with him. I can ride him twice a day if I think I need to do it. I can have him on a hack, so it's very good for his development.
But we can see from the pictures there, he looks as though he's got all the tools in the box. I mean, he can stretch, and you can do moves that a lot of people can't.
Yeah, he's the scopiest horse I've ever seen and I've ever ridden. That makes it in a lot of parts much easier. Yeah.
How did winning in Stuttgart inside in Germany in that World Cup, how much did that now give you the boost to go through with that horse? Because again, you've done only so much of that work.
To be honest, the horse is kind of well known in Germany since he's 5, because he got second in the Bundeschampionat, which is the German Young Horse Championships. So a lot of, especially also breeders, knew the horse. And then as it got older, the horse always had a bit of reputation that he doesn't jump too many clear rounds, has a rail here, a rail there, and often had time faults, so also got the reputation that he's actually a bit too slow. And then when I had the honor to overtake the reins, a lot of people actually called and said, you know, other people tried that before. I think it looks spectacular the way he jumps, but he's not the horse that will produce results. And I, from the first ride, I had the feeling that he's something extra, you know, and I liked him a lot. So I always, for myself, thought, you know, you have to show the people that they're not right, you know. And latest in Stuttgart, I think people saw that he can do also quick jump-offs and you know, also be, even in Stuttgart, in the indoor, it doesn't naturally suit him so well. Everything is a bit tiny, and the time allowed was short enough, but also there he managed to be in the time allowed, and yeah, it was a great success.
Adrian, what have you made of watching Rich's performances, and anything you'd want to ask him about the horse as well?
Yeah, I'd love to ask you about that orange foam bit. I'm petrified to ride in one. I've only lunged a horse in one.
So actually, that's how it all started. I was in Warendorf at the Bundeschampionat, and this was my first show with him. And I always had not the best connection to the mouth. Every bit I tried was actually a bit too sharp for him, because he's so sensitive in his mouth. And then a good friend of mine walked by and launched the horse with that bit. And he helped Katrin Eckermann, so he was one of Katrin Eckermann's horses. And then I said, you know, can I borrow the bit? It might suit him because it's very soft bit. And so I borrowed it there for the Grand Prix, and he won the Grand Prix there, only a national Grand Prix. But yeah, and this was actually my first ride in the bit. So from the first class he had the bit in, or actually from the first time he had the bit in, he felt very, very good with the bit. I had a better connection to the mouth, and since then I'm using the bit.
It seems to work. Mavis, any thoughts on that strategy?
You know, it's interesting, like my horse, especially now that he started moving up, I have so many people that say, oh, I tried it, or like they see videos and they're like, especially in the beginning, they said it's never going to be good enough, it's too slow. And do you find, like, was it more pressure on yourself to prove them wrong, or were you just kind of like, did people put that on you, I guess, or did you feel like it was more from your side?
To be honest, I'm a person, I don't try to put myself under pressure, you know. I more or less kind of thought I have nothing to lose, you know. I mean, for me it was a great horse, and for me it was not the question, can I show the people, because I was sure about it. It was more the question, when will he be at that point that he's gonna be competitive, and you know, that he listens well enough and so on in between the fences. The fence itself was never the problem, it was more the rideability in between the fences. So also there, Stuttgart was a little bit, we got kind of thrown into cold water. The biggest I jumped so far with the horse was actually only one 3-star Grand Prix. I never jumped a 2-star Grand Prix. I only did one 3-star Grand Prix, never a 4-star, and then I got into Stuttgart. And yeah, we gave it a try. And even the owner was a bit, he never called me, but he called my girlfriend Sophie. Said, you know, I'm not sure if it's a bit early, but Richie knows what he's doing, so don't tell him, but it seems a bit early to me. And yeah, he was obviously very happy after after the class. But all of us would have not expected that it goes so quick with him.
Yeah.
To say.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing the two of you in the action. We've got to get past the qualifier yet, but fingers crossed on Saturday night. For you, Adrian, Benny's legacy is, of course, been a fantastic horse. Won a Grand Prix here back in December as well, and back in this arena, I'm sure it feels good.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a different strategy for him this week because I actually have the privilege of having 2 horses to jump.
Yeah.
So my Nations Cup horse, Fakitol, I will be jumping him in the WEF tomorrow. He's been really consistent, and I also just thought it'd be valuable to get an extra round on him, as well as Benny's 15 now. He's very reliable. I know when I target him for certain classes that I have a really good chance of being successful. So that was my strategy for the week, and I guess we'll find out how it works.
Well, it worked here from that point of view. What's so good about it? I mean, you mentioned he's got a lot of pace.
Yeah, he's actually has a deceptively large stride.
Yeah.
And whenever I used to train with acclaimed, and whenever I'd walk a course with him, he would say to me, like, always think I needed to do the ad, and I would always have in my head that I could leave out in a jump off especially. And he's so sharp. And we just have a really good partnership. He's very predictable, and I think that's one of his greatest traits. Like, I kind of know where he's going to have shenanigans and like be a bit stupid. I think we just get along well because I know how to keep him happy. And ultimately, when a horse has given you as much as he has given me, that's like your priority is to keep them happy and then try to target them for certain events and keep them healthy and feeling good. So we're trying to do that, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, good luck with that. That'll be great. We're looking forward to all of you competing this week. And I say the two of you together in the Nations Cup as well is going to be really interesting. Let's get into a few of our thoughts on the Lugano Grand Prix this week as well. And the first of those we're going to pull out is Richie, but also we're going to take a look at Codex as well, which is a horse that you won the opening WEF Challenge Cup on. Tell us a little bit about Codex too.
So Codex is 10 now, also for 10 years old, not super experienced, and I have to say, I think I wouldn't put my hand in fire, but I think I was even the one did the first show with Codex. At least I know him since he's 5.
Yeah.
And since the owners that own him now have him, I was showing him in the beginning. In between, the owner himself showed him. It's the people I worked for. The very first job I took when I was 17, I left home and started to work for those people, family Herbert. So they own him, had him since he's 5. He has not the most experience for a 10 years old, but also here the circuit is very good for him, to step up into those bigger classes, and in the jump off he can be very competitive, and yeah.
For your own career, you've worked with some top riders back in Germany, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. I started with family Herbert. They are very famous for producing young horses. They're always buying young horses and then producing them up, bring them into the better sport and then selling them again. And as I worked 2 years for them, and then I left to Ludger Beerbaum. Worked for him 2.5 years, which was also very good for me. I learned a lot of things. The experience I got there, I couldn't pay with money. So yeah, that was a very good time for me. And after being there for 2.5 years, I decided to start my own business. And I moved back actually to the same family Herbert, to their barn, and started my own thing there, but got a lot of support from them, and that was also the time when I overtook Codex again. Since then, trying to get along.
Well, you're still only just around the under 25 mark yet, so we don't need to get it's not a long, extensive career yet, but you've achieved a lot. And getting to work with the 3-time Olympic gold medalist Ludger Beerbaum is not a bad education from that point of view. Absolutely. What was the best thing that he ever taught you?
Being patient.
Yeah.
That was very hard for me as I was young, you want to make things happen, and you're seeing you want to get some results, and you want to be competitive, but especially with the young horses, there's no way around being patient. You have to give them the time they need, and even sometimes with the older horses like Codex, he is already 10, but he's still less experienced than some other horses I have, even some 9 or 8 years old I have. But he needed a bit of time. He needed, to step down at a certain point and get more experience in the lower level, because he's very sharp and can be a bit spooky and stuff. So yeah, I think the most important thing I learned at Ludgers is to not try to break something over the knee, you say in Germany. I don't know, it's probably not a saying here.
Basically, don't rush it.
Exactly, don't rush it.
Don't rush it. It's difficult to say to you directly, how do you rate your chances this week? But United Touch looks in prime form.
Yeah, I have to say he feels very good. He jumped 4 Grand Prix now, including Stuttgart, in a row clear. I did him this morning in the 140 or this noon, and he feels in good shape. Not last week, I have to say, he even felt a bit better. Not the very best maybe, but we'll see how he's. Hopefully Saturday I first have to qualify, but
absolutely.
But he feels good, and I'm happy I have him in such a good form.
Feeling confident enough.
Yeah.
Let's come on to another to reflect on. Bertram Allen, of course, twice winner of this Grand Prix, the last 2 years, in fact, this Lugano Diamonds Grand Prix. Adrian, you've worked with him on producing horses, throwing some young horses with him. He does find some magic out there, and we saw some of that last week as well.
Yeah, he is amazing to work with. We have some horses together, and I bought several horses through him. He really does things his own way, though, so I find that the horses that go well for me may not necessarily be the same that go well for him, and vice versa, and his style is quite unique. So it's definitely difficult to replicate, and I don't try. He's an unbelievable competitor, and even sometimes I'll be walking a course with him or talking to him after, and he'll be quite low about his chances, and then he goes in and wins, and you're just, so you never really know what you're going to get, but he always has a really good shot in the ring. And he's pre-qualified this week, so we'll see. We'll
see. We saw him go 3 in a row on the week 6 Grand Prix. Could be 3 in a row with Pacino and Miro here.
Okay, I think he had all the pieces correct for last week. I was actually doing commentary for the Grand Prix, and he's obsessed with that mare, and he's not obsessed with many horses. And I kind of had a feeling he was going to win last week. I think this week he might have a little bit stiffer competition, so we'll see what happens.
Mavis, we're going to reflect to Bertram Allen there a little bit with Pacino and Miro. It is, Adrian, let's just finish off with you though. To win under the lights here as well, you've been and done it, you've in the big classes, it's a very special feeling, but to go and do back-to-back Grand Prix year after year is beyond not easy.
I think his strength is how little he thinks about that type of thing. Genuinely, he's just very in the moment. Whereas I know if I were in that situation, I'd be like, oh my God, am I going to win again? How crazy. But he's so nonchalant in some ways, and he has all these different ideas in his head, but I don't think he's so focused on last year or the year before and what that means for this year. It's more about the moment in front of him. Yeah.
Reflecting on the moment, let's talk you first. Mavis, your thoughts this week as you say you're aiming at that Grand Prix?
Yeah, I think, obviously having the Nations Cup next week, I would say, is the real end goal. So I will jump Curly tomorrow in the qualifier, and then I think we'll all sit down and have a conversation about how he feels and if that's the right thing to do for him ahead of that class. Again, he doesn't have a ton of miles, so it would be nice to be able to jump that just for him to, again, put the quarter in, so to speak. But that, our goal is, the class next week. So I think looking ahead towards that, it's sort of figuring out what the best plan is and going from there.
Well, I'll let you help me reflect on someone else who's been flying along recently, is McLean Ward. In fact, he won here just about an hour ago, again with Kotoku. You've got a little look at some of his wins already this season. He won, of course, that Fidelity Investments Grand Prix with Callas. He then went the next day with Alani Devan to go and win on in the Classic. He won the opening Grand Prix with Kotoki. We've got a little run here of all of those classes, and he's added a few more along the way, as I said, right the way up until about an hour ago. It makes it a big event for him here, home soil here in the US, and he's coming out strong, especially after Geneva having won the Grand Prix there.
Yeah, and I think the thing about McLean is he's such a, icon of show jumping over here for us, and he's so consistent. He always has a good group of horses. He's got a fantastic team around him who's been with him for a lot of time, and I think there's a lot to be said for that level of consistency and it giving you so much confidence. Like you said, this is home soil for him, so I think he always comes out, hungry for a win. I think a lot of riders do, but it's hard, to bet against him when he's got the string that he does and rides the way he does.
You don't bet against Kotoki in a speed?
No, it's, I think rare when it has one down, and if it doesn't, you're not catching it, so.
This was the WEF Challenge Cup just last week. Vins, which is actually owned by the Ardencote stud, which is Nick Skelton, so it's an interesting lineup of the horses there. But again, that mental strength that comes into it, and I know you've worked with him a lot, Adrian, that mental strength of it. He's worked with sports psychologists to gain that, hasn't he?
So he's quite a mental rider. I don't think he'll be mad at me for saying that. And he finds the web circuit quite challenging. I don't want to speak for him, but I know. Yeah. And so when you're hot, and he really needed that win in that 5-star Grand Prix, and just knowing him and having worked with him so long and seeing like kind of the inner workings of his operation, once he almost, that's like an ability for him to breathe or like relax after winning that Grand Prix. It's like, okay, I can settle down now and just like resume business as usual. Whereas before then he was so tense, so desperate to win something, and then I think he's a bit his own worst enemy in those scenarios. So I think his streak will continue, as you keep seeing. I mean, he's been winning.
Well, business as usual is winning.
Business as usual is winning, and anything else, yes. But he is the kind of rider who like he would be happy, I think, if he were second or third in the Grand Prix this week. I'm not gonna say that, and then, but like,
I don't know if I want. Yeah, be standing there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's an unbelievable horse. They're a great partnership, and things are really, I think he's getting into his flow state, so you never know what can happen.
Just keep the number ones coming.
Yeah.
Let's also look, Shane Sweetnam. We talked to Shane a few weeks ago. Of course, James Can Cruz is in the mix again. His strategy just a couple of weeks ago in the 5-star was actually to jump that horse in the WEF. Went to Namaste in the Grand Prix. Still waiting to see which is going to go this week. But James Can Cruz, Richie, if you watch the horse, is something a little bit special. This was Namaste as well that he jumped in the Grand Prix there.
Absolutely, his grey one is something very special, I think. He did a very good job producing that horse, and I think he also does a very good job to, kind of make a plan for the horse, what suits him, what doesn't suit him. Don't jump him too often, he picks good shows for him, and
Looks good. It looks very good. Won the American Gold Cup, of course, then was top 3 in Geneva from that point of view. And you say, and then he was able to move over to Namaste for this Grand Prix. So he's got strength in depth here.
Absolutely.
And it takes a bit of, he talked about it the other day, it takes a bit of pressure off as well, having horses like this coming through, that he hasn't got to go to James Can Cruz all the time.
Definitely. But also says a lot about him to not only put all the pressure on his grey one, also, use other horses for big Grand Prix like that 5-star Grand Prix, and take a bit pressure off his, I think, best horse off,
How do you feel the pressure? Do you reflect on people like Shane coming in with James Can Cruz, and you're sitting on your fantastic horse? You just a bit like we're talking about with the likes of Bertram, live in the moment.
For sure, I have to say I'm lucky enough to not be such a nervous person. If I go in the ring, I'm focusing on what I need to do. I kind of try to have a plan and follow the plan. But obviously, especially here, is a good place to sit in a warm-up and watch those great riders, how they warm their horses up, have a chat with them, what do they do in between the weeks, how many days off they give them, how often do they show them, you can kind of follow it, how often they use them here in the circuit. So I think it's a great place to learn from very, very good riders.
Absolutely, very good riders out there, and one of them is Dara Kenny as well, who finished, of course, second into that 5-star Grand Prix just a couple of weeks ago. He's got a few options this week. He's going to be heading towards that Grand Prix, assuming he gets through the qualifying all right, with Great Tequila J. He's also got Amsterdam out now, we saw this week. and also with Rockstar as one coming through, which I think he's going to jump into the qualifier as well. Maybe still come to you because you've worked with Darren, going to the riders we've worked with as well. He's got, again, huge natural talent, but again, some options to go to here.
Yeah, I think, back when I worked for Dara, it was when he first started Oakland up. And we had some like 3-legged tables that he jumped around the Saturday nights clear. And I don't think anyone ever questions his ability. So it's nice seeing him now with a strong group of horses and owners around him. He's always really fast in the jump off. I think he was second last week in the 5-star, which again, behind McLean is no shame. But it's nice to see him, also maintaining his level of consistency. I think I would say he's another one that is seeking a big win. I think he's always kind of there. But I would say that, getting into the later half of circuit now, he's going to be really trying for that on Saturday night.
I want one of these crown jewels out of the next few weeks.
Yeah, he's not a good one when he's second, so I can see him,
But is any sports person like, Adrian, what do you like? Do you take it on the chin, or are you...
I'm not great.
But the best sports people are. It doesn't matter whether it's Tiger Woods or it's Roger Federer or whoever it is. If you're successful, would you agree that that's it? There's one spot?
I think it's like knowing you can be better, right, in any moment, and like when you don't feel like you show up or for your horse or for yourself or whatever it is as well as you can, then you're like just more motivated even to do it next time. So. Frustrated but motivated.
Let's get into some of your picks for this week. Richie, let's come down to you. Let's put you aside. Who do you think Who do you think is your biggest challenge this week?
McLean always is. There's a few obviously for those 5-star weeks. They all try to be in best shape with their horses, and
Go on, pick one.
Try to focus on myself and make the best out of it.
So you're going to go
McLean.
You're going to go McLean. Mavis, aside from yourself, of course.
Now that one's taken, I would say Shane has a really good shot on the grey one if he does end up doing that one on Saturday night. But I also think Natalie Dean's been on great form, and I know she's got the mare in, so I would go with the young gun, I guess, and teammate for next week, and hope that she gets to, maybe pulling out the bag going into next week as well.
Very neatly done, because we've got some shots of Natalie Dean, because she actually finished fourth in that Grand Prix just a couple of weeks ago as well, and the Californian rider, it's a young rider having come through as well. And I'll let you carry on talking about this one, Mavis, because with Dakota Hemmett, she really did step up that week, didn't she?
Yeah, Natalie is from California, so it's nice to see a fellow Californian, competing at this level and having this much success out here. She trains with Lon Furter, and I think he's really built a fantastic group of horses for her and gotten her a ton of experience. This mare, if you've ever seen it in person, is maybe like 15-2. It's like a pony, and it's incredible to have watched them develop it. I saw it a little bit this summer, but to see it competing at this level, and they've created such a wonderful partnership, and that whole team at Lon Furter Stables, I think, does such a fantastic job, mounting her, producing the horses, and giving her the confidence to, go in and jump rounds like this. So I would say she's not far off of a really big win.
Looking forward to that. Adrian, who's going to finish second to you this week?
I was really impressed with the way Ken Farrington's horse jumped in the 5-star. I'm not actually sure who he's jumping this week, but I thought that his horse Landon just jumped around with such ease, and that really impressed me. It's a horse that I wasn't sure how big it would jump, but it jumped around so nicely. It has a massive stride. It looked really comfortable, and that for me, that was the round of the night. Sorry, Richie. In the last 5-star, I was really impressed with that combination.
And anyone else out of this week you'd go for? We've already stolen half of them, so we make it a little bit harder from you for that point of view.
I think James Cancruz is one of the best, if not the best 10-year-old in the world. Just in my opinion, I think watching the horse, it's one of those horses that you see every 10 something years. I haven't been around that long, so I'm not like
you've had one.
I also have one of them, but unfortunately her career hasn't been as long as I hope James Cancruz's is. So I think when you have a horse like that and you're at the level that Shane's at, I was way behind when she was in her prime. It's something different, so it's pretty cool to watch that.
What was the best lesson that Crystalline, which we're talking about, taught you?
Oh geez, don't put me on the spot like that. Everyone knows how emotional I am about her. Like, ultimate, like, what a gift it is to be able to do this with her. I think with all my other horses, I'm like so results oriented, and with her I can actually like really appreciate the moment. Like, wow, it is so amazing to get to be here after like everything that I've gone through with the horse and she's been through, and she's such a fighter, so I feel lucky.
We're not going to let you get to the tears.
Yeah, don't do it.
It remains for me to say those are our picks for this week. Those who are reflecting on, of course, there's going to be the Grand Prix show as well in the run-up on Saturday night, where we go in depth and get all the stats from Jumper as well of how we pick through that group as well. To Richie, to Mavis and to Adrian, thank you very much. Good luck over the next week, 2 weeks as well. Half the US team already sitting with us. Bring home the trophy. Good luck to you. Richie, Grand Prix success this week. Fingers crossed, we'll see. But you've got quite a bit to get past as well. But you're on top form. Great to see. Thank you very much for joining us. As I say, what's coming up this week, we're going to be seeing, well, every day you can watch all of the streaming here from the International Arena. Plenty of 5-star classes through this week. Saturday, $425,000 Lugano Diamonds 5-star Grand Prix. We'll be streaming that as well. And before that, as I say, the Grand Prix show gets underway at 6:30. I'll be joined in the commentary box by Lauren Huff and Owen McMahon. And also we've got the 150 Classic on Sunday as well. So join us for all of that. Tune in daily. And thanks to all of those at Wellington Equestrian Realty that bring us that each day on the live streaming. Thank you to my guests. We will be back later on in the week. Who will win? Only one way to find out. Tune in on Saturday to see the Lugano Diamonds 5-star Grand Prix.